Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with the Founders. Sometimes we drink coffee, sometimes not. In this case, it's late afternoon, so it's not going to be happening for today.
Well,
I'm
I do have
well,
my
well.
matcha,
Oh,
so
you do? Oh, okay. Well. You know what? I should reframe that then because I'm talking with all startup founders, and it's like it's 24/7 or 996 or whatever we're now doing. So you never know. You never know. Good point, Priya. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm Beck Bamberger, and we do this fun, wonderful show because doing a venture backed startup is kind of for the insane. You got to be partially insane in order to do it. And so I like to chat with people to see, like, how's it going? Why are you doing this? What are you solving in the world? And maybe give some illuminating insights from the wonderful founders we bring on board. With us today, coming live from San Francisco, drinking her late afternoon coffee right now, is Priya Raman. That's a shortening of her last name, just FYI, people, just so you all know. She is the co-founder and CEO of Lica. Lica?
yeah, that's
Lica,
correct.
yeah, exactly. Lica, Lica, and it is a AI-driven video platform for video creators. So we're going to talk a lot about that. But welcome, Priya, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
Very glad to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you here. Okay, why did you start? Why did you wish to get into this of using AI as it's related to video production? You were at
Yeah,
Snap previously, so there's that. Tell us more.
yeah. So let me give you a little bit of my background.
Yes.
So, at the core, at Leica, we're building foundational graphic design models that can
Hmm.
understand how to reason through design choices like a human would. And the best ways to kind of productize it and get it out in the world in a way that it's useful is for creative production, videos, graphics, animations. And
Hmm.
specifically, we have been focusing a lot on translating all our research on building these foundational graphic design models into the hands of very iconic consumer brands so they can change their creative workflows, be it in visual design for marketing, for ads, or for landing page design, everywhere where graphic designers and videographers are involved. And prior to this, I have been working in generative AI long before it was school. I was very early working on Gen AI products at Microsoft back in 2019,
You were
helping
at
with
Waymo as
using,
well.
yeah,
Yep.
long before it became
Yep.
a buzzword,
Yep.
and building design AI into slide design for M365. And sort of like that seeded the idea that the way the architecture of AI is today, specifically design AI, it's not constructed well enough to reason like a human, help
Hmm.
people steer it and control it. So we wanted to solve that fundamental problem from a technical point of view. And we're also working on commercializing and building new product experiences so that creators feel in control, but at the same time, AI adds like a superpower to their toolkit and they feel very happy using it. And I moved to Snap. I did the same AI generated AR, was briefly at Waymo. I was, I think, the first vibe coder. I went viral for building my vibe coded project. That's kind of how Leica came to be because I've always wanted to start my own company. I was on a visa and I
Uh-huh.
vibe coded something that went viral, won a hackathon,
Wait,
and
what
then I
was
could
it? What was it?
continue.
Tell us.
So this was in 2023. So I used Replit back then. The coding tools, there was no cursor.
No.
The cursor was not like as good either. So I used Replit and ChatGPT to vibe code like initial versions of like how do you translate like boring documents into very captivating GIFs. And I was the only PM. I went to the hackathon hoping I can build a team. Nobody wanted to partner with me, which was a bummer. But I was like, fine, I'll just like find
Really?
AIs on the cloud to help me, and ended up vibe coding. Amjad, who's the CEO of Replit, was my first check for the startup. He said, you know, if you're going to start a company, like I'm there to support you, and that kind of kicked the whole thing off. I ended up quitting my job at Waymo and doing something that I've been passionate about, having this idea for like last 7 years, and I'm building Leica into what it is today.
So 7 years you've been thinking on this, sitting on this.
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow. Yeah. This is what I love. So it's so often it's not like, oh, you know what? I was eating a sandwich on Tuesday and then I started my company on Thursday because I just came up with it. No, it incubates in your mind to
Yeah.
the point where it's like, oh my God, it's inevitable. I have to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It starts as something really big, then becomes small, then kind of germinates in so many different ways. But I don't think the crux of it has always been how do you democratize visual storytelling and design to everyday people. And we kind of, my co-founder and I met, and I come from a more product and engineering background. She comes from an ML background, and we kind of thought about like various ways in which this idea can manifest, and we kind of split it into two parts. One is how do we solve the fundamental ML research problem, and that's where we're building our own frontier models when it comes to graphic design. And then we realized, it's not just enough to do research, like we should get it in the hands of people and then figure out what they think about it. How do we build new unique interaction paradigms? And then we started uh, thinking about various ways in which it could become a product. We started off with like videos, explainers, and then we got a natural pull from high fashion and CPG industry where they really have to create a lot of assets for ads, for
Yeah.
landing pages. And we have really transformed the ways in which some of these businesses are being run because we have given them an AI that really helps them shift focus on what's really important about the business, how they can serve more value, as opposed to doing a lot of what they would call grunt work and not really creative work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ooh, so right on your website, I must say, so people are very clear, you say get 50 direct to consumer ads in your inbox every week. No shoots,
Hmm.
no briefs, just results.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's really great. I love
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. We kind of like went back and forth about, so we have another website where we kind of talk more about like our research goals, but then we realized, what, at this point, we just want to kind of deliver results to people. They shouldn't know whether it's AI or not. But when they find out it's AI, they kind of
Yes.
are very shocked and they're like, I didn't know it was going to be this good. And that's been very interesting. And I think as startups, we constantly change how we kind of pitch ourselves to customers. But lately, we started this experiment where for the past 3 months, we just speak about the results we deliver. We don't talk about the technology. Customers don't really care
Yep.
like how great your model is going to be in numbers or on paper. So because of that, we've been working with some amazing consumer brands in fashion, and we've learned a lot about how they can restructure their businesses. For example, one of the consumer brands we work with in fashion has cut down their photo shoots from 5 to 6 days to just 2 hours, and that's because AI still has some way to go in terms of generating assets, making some edits, getting some of the detailing right. Similarly, for ads, we have been able to accelerate throughput on the creative side by 5x. But even though that was our initial goal, we have seen that the ads that we create help them increase conversions by over 2 to 3x. And
Hmm.
also, they are able to test more. So they're able to
Yeah,
learn
so
more.
that's the thing is
And
like testing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so art is also today more about treating it as a science. It's not like one perfect graphic that's going to work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You don't have to be too attached to it. And we help them build a creative system that can help them succeed in this world of social commerce and agentic commerce and move at the same speed their consumers are moving at.
Hmm. Ooh, and I think the point that you're hitting on is just like the speed of and the ability to test rapidly to go like, okay, instead of spending all that time and all that money, and we have 7 assets to use, and like 6 of them didn't work. Now maybe I could trust on 100 that are quickly produced and see what really resonates with people and take it from there. I kind of like it. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, there have been a handful of, articles and things where people are like, "Oh my god, this is an AI generated fashion ad, and here's the botched fingers with, 7 toes and whatever else." How do you combat that? I'm sure that's a concern you get.
Yeah, so that's where our research comes in. So we have built our own model that generates not flat images or flat videos. They're
Yeah.
fully editable files like on Figma or
Yeah.
Canva. If
Yep.
you go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate an ad, it kind of comes up with something very quick, but
Yeah.
it's like slop. So
Yeah.
brands don't
Yeah.
use it. The penetration is really low. So what we do is we believe that creative intelligence is not one shot. It should act like how things happen in the real world in biology, where like you adapt, you incrementally add new capabilities, you shift based on the environment you are pattern. And that's how a creative is. You have a brand guideline, which we call the creative gene. And that kind of adapts based on whether it's on a Facebook or an Instagram or email or a landing page or a product display page. So we kind of built a model that's able to shape shift a creative, understanding what the graphic designer wants, and come up with these files. However, perhaps you have to do 5 to 10% of the edits. Now if you're on ChatGPT, you have to keep prompting and it's a never ending process.
It is.
But with us, you can just go change the font, you can edit the file. So we've built our own graphic engine that the AI model that we have operates on, and every layer is editable. And that's kind of what's made us be
Mm.
very attractive to a lot of consumer brands we work with, because we just don't give them slop and then ask them to pray that things are going to get better.
And ask them to pray. Yeah. Great, great. We don't ask you to pray. That should be on your website. Like, no praying needed. No praying needed. Okay, how has it been, Priya, working with your co-founder?
It's been great, honestly. We kind of like joke that so she's single, and I say, "Oh, you know what? I'm the best arranged marriage that happened to you," um, because she. So we
Love
kind
it.
of overlapped at Microsoft.
Yeah.
She comes from Microsoft Research and used to train foundational multimodal models for M365. I was more on the product side,
Hmm.
and we kind of bonded over having very similar approaches to solving the problem of visual design, but we had different ideas on how to have
Hmm.
them manifest. But when I joined Waymo, I was already at this point where I felt like I want to start my own company, but I was in a clerical, it was this clerical error with my visa process. So I was like not getting
Ah,
my green card. So I was so
ah,
frustrated. I was like, oh, I feel like my choices are driven by my immigration status, not by my passion.
ah,
So
ah.
a friend of mine from Waymo, an ex YC founder, actually introduced me to her. So I'm very grateful that I went to Waymo, because I've met my co-founder and she took a one-way ticket to my house. She moved in with me, and then after a month of staying together, we decided we'll work together. We kind of like started
Oh
shipping
my
stuff,
gosh, you just
and
dove right in. She just was like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I'm going to move here. I'm going to live with you."
yeah. She took a one-way ticket from Seattle, and then after a month of living here,
Holy cow.
so
That's
she's been
conviction.
here. Yeah, from 2023 to now. So, and then we kind of like raised funds pretty quickly, and we were able to figure everything out. But I would
Oh
say
my
it's
gosh, I
great.
love
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Wait,
The
wait,
best
wait.
blind
So,
date.
so wow. Yes. Oh, wait. Okay. So you had not met in person. You'd not even had like a coffee or thing. But
No.
she's like, "Hold up. I'm gonna just take a ticket. I'm just gonna go down there. I'm just gonna show up."
Yeah. So my friend introduced me in the sense that she said, so she kind of, the way she said it was, she had a very bad co-founder experience. So she was like, I strongly suggest you be solo, but there's this person, if you would like to chat, I think she could be a good fit. And then I kind of like, I was like, okay, I'll message her. And then we kind of started talking. And there were all these like accelerator programs that were coming up. And she was like, hey, would you be interested? And I was still like in two minds.
Hmm.
And then she was like, why don't we just try, and I could come over? And I said, sure, you can come over. I have a spare bedroom and we can try to hack. And we kind of
Wow,
started
I love
working.
this. The
Yeah,
boldness.
yeah. So since then, we were like, you know what, this is going to work. Then we kind of like, it was quite organic, because the way I would put it is, she has everything that I don't, and I think I have everything that she doesn't. So we kind of like form a full circle. So it's been great, kind of like figuring out like how to make this happen, because we have that one goal, but we also have like skills that each of us don't directly
Priya,
possess.
can I just say, this sounds like a 10 out of 10 matchmaking founder, co-founder scenario. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just love that. Oh, I'm so glad I like prompted that question. I just like intuitively was like, we need to talk about this. Wow. Okay, so you live together. How long did you live together? Or are you
So
still
she
living with
was
her? You're like, oh no.
no. She has her own place now. But
Okay.
she was here for let's say the first 2 3 months. She was kind of at my place, and then we were like, you know what, you're not gonna go back. It doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
So she had a base at my place and wrapping things up in Seattle, where she originally was, and then we figured out a way to like find a place here in SF, and we kind of like had an office in SF. So I think a lot of it is just it just happened quite organically, and we had pretty bad co-founder relationships or like co-founder dating experience in the past, where we were
Oh,
like we kind of were like in a place where, oh, I think I exactly know what I want. And then when this happened, we were like, you know what, this is the exact person we have to build
Oh,
a company with.
wow. So you also both simultaneously were like, "Oh, I've been on the dating train. I've had bad experiences. Oh gosh, wow." So this was ordained. This is like magical.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope so. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Priya. Like, what's one of those bad experiences? Why was it bad? Because I think we should talk about this of, the miraculous situation you had, but like, what was the total red flag? No, no, no.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been so knee deep into any relationship. I'm pretty good at like reading people, and I wouldn't say this is a reflection on anyone I was with. It was all quite like surface level initial conversations, but
Yeah.
usually when you kind of like jam, what I noticed was there's a lot of like passion I would bring to the problem. And there's two kinds of failure modes that can happen where the other
Mm,
person is kind of critically evaluating you all the time. But a co founder relationship is about co-building with you. It's
yeah.
not like you have to play devil's advocate. I think it's important to be a devil's advocate, but that's not the relationship I would want with my co-founder. I think the second one is just really people who just don't align with your values. I think one of the
Yep.
mistakes I did earlier is you try to find people who can build a product with you, but it actually doesn't matter. You need to find a person who can build a company with you, and those are two very different
That
things.
is very different, a product versus the company. Yes. Yes. Okay. Good tidbits, good advice from you, Priya. Okay. So let's go back into the now, because that was when you guys met. You had the whole thing. Okay. Now we're here. We talked already a bit about, how do you allow for people or brands to not be concerned about the 8 fingers, let's say, with all the variety of the editing tools and so forth that you have. What's on your mind now, like present time? Here we are in September 2025.
Oh, well, so
Mm,
many different things.
mm,
I think from a purely technical point of view, we're making some quantum leaps in how design should be reasoned through. And we're going to ship new model improvements and share more publicly about a lot of the stuff that we're doing on that side.
mhm.
On the consumer brand side, on the customer front, I think we have really come to this inflection point where it's very heartwarming, but we're also figuring out like how do we best structure this is people are changing how they're doing businesses. It's not like we're directly competing with agencies or we're trying to like replace people, but they have changed the ways in which they see their own roles. They're changing the ways in which they work. We're not
Yeah,
replacing that work at all.
yeah.
And I think it's such an exciting time. And what's top of mind right now is for me to think through building repeatable sales processes, identifying where the leaks are, really kind of like overcoming all the growth pains, which are all really good. And you really strive for it early on. But when it actually hits you, there's a lot of like small things that can make a real difference between whether you get an enterprise contract or not and things like that. So that's just been occupying my mind lately.
Hmm. What are the small things, would you say? Like, give me
Yeah.
one example, because people think like, oh, it's a huge deal that you're going after. It's all this stuff, but like, what are those details you see?
Yeah, I think one thing that comes top of mind is sometimes like enterprises and their contracts can be very lengthy back
Oh
and forth
God,
and
no.
whatnot.
Yeah, the red tape. Hmm.
And I think sometimes you are, when it comes to AI, competing with some of the biggest corporations that hand out a lot of freebies. So
Yes.
this is about the smallest thing can be about what's the smallest thing that you can show them for them to get trust? Is it like a free trial, or is it like a bunch of stuff that you're willing to work with them on, build some custom workflows, versus you trying to be adamant about like your idea of how that vision should be represented? Because ultimately it's very important to figure out the north star and then various steps that earns you the right to build more. And I think
Mm,
I've spoken to a lot of founders where sometimes these contracts that fall through, it can be something as simple as helping that one person who's doing this grunt work understand what is going to get them promoted. Is it just a simple workflow? Like, let's just figure that out. Like, are you going to feel better if I just give you these assets in a Google Drive as opposed to asking you to come to my platform? We don't count it as success if people come to use our platform. We count it as success if the assets from Leica actually go live on ads library on Meta or on the website. So there's a lot of like communication oriented things that you really have to put forward, so you center your success as the customer's success. And I think that those are from the small details in which how you phrase things. It's not just about like saying we have the best AI models and you should be.
May I pause on something though, Priya, that I think you say is so important, and I hope people can really get this as one of our last points here for today. Oh, I'm selling this product. It's going to do this for your company. It's going to make all this money or something. But we are still selling to humans.
Yeah.
And you need to remember, especially a human that is in the cog of the machine of a big enterprise. How does it help them? How
Yeah.
does it help them directly, Bob? Like, is Bob going to get promoted in 6 months because he
Yeah.
implemented this? Or how do
Yeah.
you make that person look good, or whatever it is? So that's one of the, I think people miss that. But what we try to like focus on so much is like, no. This deal helps you specifically, Bob,
Yeah.
in achieving A, B, or C, because ultimately the human is making the decision. It is Bob, and
Yeah.
Bob needs to
Yeah.
look good for this, or not foolish. Like the negative side of it, which is like or the risk averse side of it. So it's either it's helping you get promoted, or it's helping you get the new thing, or you're going to look really good. And so that's why you need to work with us.
Yeah, and we had this amazing example where we were not actually doing landing pages or PDP assets and website, but we had a couple of enterprise customers who are like, "This is my goal this quarter. This is really important, but I need to hit this KPI. And what can you do for me?" And
What
then
can you
at
do
that
for
time,
me?
instead of losing the client, we were like, okay, actually, from a model standpoint, we are agnostic to the creative. Everything is a type of PNG or an MP4.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it turns out it was one of the best decisions because it looks like that's kind of how people make decisions, because everything starts at what goes on their website and then they make decisions on how they can be packaged into ads. And I realized, at some point, you really need to know, what is your vision? Is it just something that you wrote on the paper, or are you willing to change how like people how they're going to be impacted and kind of like shape your story that way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to remember this. Priya, thank you for being on. Thank you for telling us this phenomenal story of how you met your co-founder. By the way, what's her name?
Purvanshi.
Pravanshi. Look at this. Made in heaven. Best arranged marriage ever. Said.
Yeah, yeah.
God. Priya Raman, she's the co-founder and CEO of Lica. My goodness. You know what? I will just say, Priya, and this is how I know like the sell is really good. When I see right on your website of like, oh, I get 50 direct to consumer ads in my inbox every week. Just results, no shoots, no briefs. Damn, that's a good promise. I love it. Thank you for being here today, and thanks for recovering. Oh, you could hear we're in live things. Ah,
Thank you. Thank
good
you for
having
having
you,
me. It was
Priya.
wonderful.
Yes, successful fall to you. This is a big moment I feel in all the AI space stuff, and in San Francisco where you're in the mecca of it all. So yes, Godspeed. Thanks
Thank
for being
you.
on.
All right. Bye.